Hey guys, good morning. I wanted to take the time and do a recap of a couple of trades that I had from yesterday, the pound dollar and the Russell 2000. Russell I took on traditional futures. The pound dollar I took on traditional spot forex. But I had promised a couple of people both, and last night I didn't have the time to get both in, so I wanted to wait until this morning so I didn't have to rush through it. So I'm going to start with the TF. On the Russell, we've got the high point established, our anchor. And then there are a couple of different ways that I could go about this. There's this trend line, obviously. That's already been broken at the point that I'm looking to enter this trade. Now, it certainly was valid, but it's already been broken. So for me, I'm going to take that and find the next highest point. So here, we've got our channel top, we've got our trend line coming down, and it's establishment. And that's significant to me for one reason. We'll get in that later. The second point that we're looking at is right around here. So we gapped yesterday. So you've got to me, that's heavy volume. That's heavy trading. And we're looking for anything in that area. So for me, I'm going to look for, in this particular case, a trend line going through that area. Now, what initiates this bull move here is this candle to me. This lower wick here is a really significant bull move, and then it pushes up and just continues. So where does it kind of find some structure, and where does it find itself stalling out is right at that gap area. So when we slice through, we've got another 1, 2, 3 tests of this trend line. And then when it gaps down below, we've got 1, 2 more tests of it. So there's nothing to me that says that we won't test it again, and there's nothing to me that says that we won't hold it again. So next, I'm looking for something else. I'm looking for some support in that area, some resistance in that area, something else that's going to tell me this is going to hold. So again, I'm going to look back towards another gap. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tests of this particular level, and they all hold in different directions. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this level's been a very strong level for the past couple of weeks. Finally, I told you that this was going to be important. Well, this was a super strong bull move up, but then it was followed by a bear move, and that bear move kind of, it retraced nicely. It didn't quite make it down to the 78.6, but it retraced nicely, and it did so in short time. So I consider this bear move off of what is the proposed established trend line a strong move, and strong enough to warrant a retracement once it finds its bottom. So it moves all the way down, finds its bottom, and rolls over. So for me, I'm now looking at some confluence right around that area. In particular, what I was hoping for was we were going to get a test of this support, a test of this resistance, and then when I saw the level we were at, I was hoping for a test of that trend line, a quick spike up and then a drop. And you can see that I was ready and waiting for that. My entry was, it's a little bit blurry, but my entry was 1364.60. And I took that all the way down until it kind of formed this other trend line. I'll show that in a minute. I ended up pulling just over $2,000 on that one. It was 2180. But if we come down to the 15 minute, I pulled it all the way down to this little 15-minute trend line. So I took it from here all the way down to here, and that was my exit. That was the reason that I decided to get out, was it was testing that trend line right there. So that was the first trade I took that I wanted to recap, TF. Now I want to go into the pound dollar. So this one was huge. This one was such a great trade. It was all created from the 4-hour supply zone that you see up here. So the first thing that I ended up doing was, and I'm gonna take all this stuff off. The first thing that I did was I found that supply zone. So I was looking at my chart and I was, price was right around, I want to say like here. And I was trying to figure out where my next entry on the pound dollar was going to be because there was a big announcement. There was big pound news, and news all across, the Bank of England's, the ECB. It was 4:30 on Thursday morning, when all of this took shape. And and then there was more news at 7 o'clock, and so it was a heavy news day for coming into my trade here. And so I was looking for some area that we could potentially get a spike to. So we've got our supply zone, and then on just underneath that, right smack dab in the middle of the supply zone. And one of the things that I love to do is we've got that wick that spikes up on a candle just past it, but it sits right in the middle of that supply zone. So to me, that's I'm all for that. That's a great indicator to me that price is going to continue, or that price is going to continue up to that level and then potentially hold, because we just have that added level of confirmation. Next, I was looking at some form of trend. So we've got this strong bull move off of the supply zone, or this strong bear move off of the supply zone. Now, where's the first area that we start to see some bull spike back up? Well, you can see that this spike kind of encapsulates the last two candles and pushes up. So that's a nice bull oscillation. It could also make a case for down here, which I did. And so to me, I had both of these on going into it, but to clean up my chart, I ended up taking the one that tested the bottom of that supply zone away, because I wanted something that gave me that added confluence. So the reasoning was you get a strong bear move, and I was looking for the first sighting of some bulls. This made a good case because it kind of outdid those last three candles, at least for a short time. This made a better case because it was sustained. So, and it also lined up better with my confluence right at that, supply, resistance, and we've got that trend line now, going right through it. So I seem to have a lot going in my favor now. And as you can see, the price was, at this point in time, price wasn't quite there yet. So what I was hoping for was a quick spike up and then a nice drop down. And really where I should have taken this further than I did. I should have taken this down to this trend line, gotten in here, gotten out here. But because it was a heavy news day, we have NFP today, I didn't want to be holding anything any longer than I really needed to. So I ended up taking my profits off. Now, the other thing that I did have was this move here. So this bear move down where we again have a nice gap. I took this high, fib down to this low, because you can see on the way back up, price came back up, bounced off the 61.8, bounced off the 61.8 again. Now, granted, it's in the opposite direction, but once it bounced off that 61.8 and then made its decisive move and used that as its anchor, that to me was warranted in me keeping that on there. So I now had a target, this negative 61.8, and it worked out really well that it just lined up with everything else in the middle of my supply zone. So to me, I'm looking to get in right at, this test of the trend line, most likely is where I'm looking. You can see that I had this, we always talk about pre-planning. I had this plans so far in advance. I was ready for this so far in advance, and I had my Nadex strike optimal zone ready for some weeklies. But I got in right at the test, and I ended up pulling 150 pips out of that in about an hour, I would say. So 150 pips in about an hour. Ended up with just over $1,500 on that trade. Again, I could have taken it much longer than I did. I ended up getting out like right around here, I think. And I could have taken it a little further down. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to hold. But one thing I did want to highlight is if you're uncomfortable with this first test of this, this spike right here, I'll expand my chart a little bit so it's easier to see. If you're uncomfortable with that first test, well, this is a great use of price action. Because if you come down to, let's start with an hourly chart. This is great for reading price action because you get your first test and you can see the bears are there. You get your second test and you can see the bears are there. So if you're uncomfortable entering at this first test, your second test should give you an indication that bears are there. And then if you miss that, your third test comes just under that trend line and then makes the decisive move down to right here. And then finally, if you miss those three opportunities, then you get a fourth opportunity when it comes back up and tests this trend line. Now this is news time. This is at 7 o'clock news. This was the spike for the 4 o'clock news, the 4 a.m. And this is right when I entered. This is where, the 7 a.m. news comes. It spikes right back up to our the levels and then drops. So you can see how price action and technical analysis can really give you an edge when it's done properly. And you can really start to identify those perfect entries. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope this recap helped. I'll tag those who wanted the recap in it or in the post. Let me know if you have any questions. I love doing these. Very happy to hopefully help out some traders looking for an edge. So be careful with NFP today, and good luck trading.